43 past. Todd Mitchell pinch hitting for Scott Hennon. It's the weekly show we call Energy Matters on K-Fire 550, AM 1100 The Flag, 1460 KLTC, and 1090 KTGO in Tioga. District 33, Republican Minnesota State Senator Dave Osmek has been found. Chair of the Minnesota Senate Energy and Utilities Committee. How are you?
Good afternoon. Sort of trying to drive through the metropolitan area. We got a couple inches of snow, and everybody in Minnesota apparently forgot how to drive in snow weather. So we're in gridlock, and that's the way life is in Minnesota today.
But you only have a couple of inches.
Yeah, normally we deal with this a lot better. I think it's the timing on it. I think we got it during rush hour traffic in the morning, and it's just sort of like a plague. It stays on us the entire day when that happens.
Youch. Well, if you need any more out here in central North Dakota, we've got some 55 plus, so we'd be more than happy to share.
No. You keep it. You keep that.
So the Minnesota legislature, what goals do you have with energy legislation?
Well, I've talked about it. We haven't had our first meeting yet. That's on Thursday. And what our goals, or at least my goals are, is that we need to make energy in Minnesota, and really this is a good motto to have throughout the entire nation. We need to have an energy grid and an energy system that promotes plentiful energy, affordable energy, and dependable energy. And if you can meet those criteria, that's something that ratepayers, whether it's your business or whether it's you at home, using electricity or whatever other type of energy you might be using, if you can meet those goals, that's something that we should all be in favor of here in the United States or here in the cold Minnesota.
What would the legislation accomplish?
Well, that's the goal that I would put as a committee goal. Right now, we don't have a lot of legislation on the boards, but we are going to be taking a very close look at our Made in Minnesota provisions, which have not been as successful. We have a fund called the Renewable Development Fund, or it's called RDF, where we are taxing ourselves on the casks of nuclear waste that we have here in Minnesota. And we're going to be looking at that. That comes out of ratepayers' fund. That comes out of your pockets. Whether that's something that we want to continue in Minnesota, we want to revise it, or what direction we want to go with that, as well as energy policy in general.
Is Minnesota becoming more energy friendly?
I think so. I wrote an op-ed that was published in the Duluth News Tribune that talked about how we need to have a balanced approach. Does that mean that we need to have coal? Yes, that is a component of that. There's a lot of environmentalists that really don't like coal, and coal plants, older coal plants, I will agree, there isn't only a certain amount of retrofitting you can do to make them more environmentally friendly, so to speak. But we do have, there is a place for solar, there is a place for hydro, there is a place for wind. And I think it all comes down to that last component of dependability, that we need to make sure that when we turn the light switches on, that we have something there. And that includes nuclear, which, for those environmentalists who are interested, that's probably the greenest energy that you can get, and it's also the most dependable.
If extreme environmentalists found success in Minnesota, what would happen?
Well, we spent 4 years now under a Democrat control of the Minnesota State Senate, and they have tried to push much more of the environmental, or what I call boutique energies, and I don't believe it's been terribly successful. In Minnesota, solar energy, let's just face it, Minnesota is cold for a reason in January, and it's not because of the tidal winds. It's because the energy that comes from the sun is diminished during certain months of the year, so it becomes less dependable. Environmentalists also have been going after certain power plants that we have in Minnesota, and that would be our Sherco plants in the city of Becker. We are actually glide pathing those offline because they've come to the end of their natural lives, and what we need to do is replace them with. I don't believe we're going in coal direction, but we can replace them with natural gas plants, which are even more effective and more efficient than our coal plants are. So it comes down to balance. And we need to have, and I think the nation should go in this direction, we need to have balance, but we also have to focus on the reliable component of making sure that we have energy for now and into the future, and that includes nuclear, and it includes other forms of energy. But primarily, I like nuclear because when it's on and you can depend upon it, but it needs to be a part of the portfolio.
What are your thoughts on coal?
Coal energy, it serves its purpose. It serves as part of our grid. Certainly, we have areas where it needs to be there. The Iron Range of Minnesota is now producing. Our mining operations are back up to full speed. That requires an incredible amount of energy, and they would depend upon coal-fired power plants to do them. And the coal plants are becoming, and we all know it, they have over the last 20 years become more and more efficient and more environmentally sensitive. I think we still need to continue to move in looking at clean coal technology, but of course, it's all going to be dependent upon what happens in Washington, D.C. And last time I checked, in the next week or two, we're going to have a little change in environment in Washington, D.C. that we'll have to deal with.
A change in environment?
Well, change in environment, so to speak. President Obama will soon become Unpresident Obama, and we will be dealing with a new administration and new priorities because, President Obama went around the legislative process in many ways in implementing his own executive orders regarding clean power plants. That may be undone by the new Trump administration, or they may decide a different direction to go. States are going to have to be able to be flexible in making those modifications as we go forward.
All right. Minnesota State Senator from District 33, Republican Dave Osmek, chair of the Minnesota Senate Energy and Utilities Committee. Anything else you want to mention?
No, it's we're trying to do what's best for Minnesotans as well as, we are part of a larger grid. One thing I think that we all have to be concerned about too, and I hadn't touched upon this, but we do need to make sure that our grid is secure, and maybe that's the fourth component, that we've seen that malicious hacking can lead to multiple problems within society. And if hackers are able to manipulate our grid, we need to make sure that our cybersecurity, not only in where you live, but as well as across the entire grid, make sure that our cybersecurity is up to snuff. Because what can happen in Minnesota certainly can impact other places around the grid. We live on different grids depending on what utilities are involved. But cybersecurity is one thing that I think nationally we're going to have to take a serious look at, and Minnesota certainly will also.
No doubt. Minnesota State Senator, Republican Dave Osmek, thanks for your time. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
All righty, you take care.